Fox News alert, the manhunt's still underway for the shooter who killed two at Brown University Saturday, one being the vice president of the college Republicans. It's been 4 days, and no one knows who the shooter is, where he is, or what his face looks like. The clueless locals in Providence have no idea.
At this point, we're still just looking at the picture. We haven't identified ages or anything to that point. And as far as whether he's a Providence student or anything, we don't have any of those answers, no.
They just held another press conference, and now it seems like either the killer was lucky, Providence is incompetent, or someone's hiding something. This guy could be overseas or could be 5 doors down the street. Nobody knows. The police chief doesn't even know where the security cameras are.
So the video that we showed you came from inside the building, and that's all we had at the moment. That was all we have at this moment. Correct.
Inside the engineering building, though?
I'm sorry?
It's from the outside of the building.
From the
I'm
outside,
sorry.
so do you have video from
Yes.
inside the engineering building?
Both inside and outside. I'm sorry, just outside. That's all we have, not inside, no. I'm sorry, just outside.
Are they going to be released anytime soon unless from inside the building?
That was released already. That was the outside of the building. We released that.
Yeah, let me just jump here and clarify.
This chief's in over his head. He can't communicate well, or he doesn't know what's going on. Either way, he shouldn't be running point at the press conference. There are over 800 cameras on Brown's campus, and all we see is a light-skinned fat guy with a mask. The Attorney General says the shooter's like Houdini.
So the video that we showed you came from inside the building, and that's all we had at the moment. That was all we have at this moment. Correct.
Inside the engineering building, though?
I'm sorry?
It's from the outside of the building.
From the
I'm sorry.
outside, so do you have video from
Yes.
inside the engineering building?
Both inside and outside. I'm sorry, just outside. That's all we have, not inside, no. I'm sorry, just outside.
Are they going to be released anytime soon unless from inside the building?
That was released already. That was the outside of the building. We released that.
Yeah, let me just.
Yeah, we played that already. We apologize. He's saying Brown put cameras on the front door, not the back door. And the shooter went in through the back door. Got it? And get this. There's a map on the internet of where all the cameras are on campus. So anyone can go online and see where the cameras are and know how to get in and out unseen. Or the shooter knew where the blind spots were because he's a student. Or the killer cut every break he could. And some of the cameras could have been broken. No one has any idea.
Why isn't there more video or metadata? And were those cameras all operational?
Yeah, I can't speak to what was operational or wasn't.
You need to swipe your ID to enter buildings on campus. Did the shooter follow someone in, or did he swipe an ID? Brown would have that information if there was a swipe or not, but they won't talk about it. The FBI released 6 minutes of new video today. Moments before the shooting, this guy's in all black and a face mask casing the area, but they won't tell us what he was looking for.
If he's casing that area, Colonel, like you said, he had an intended target, which speaks to the motive. Did he have a target to kill one of the 2 people that were killed?
We're still investigating the day, and it's something that we're trying to get the answers as well.
One criminal profiler told Fox that the killer was familiar with the area, enraged, and was very comfortable with a semi-automatic, and that the college was a soft target. Was the school the target? Was the building a target? Or was it a specific individual? They won't even tell us what he yelled before he opened fire.
Have detectives been able to interview, and have they elaborated on anything that this man said? Allegedly, he yelled something in the classroom before opening fire.
We have re-interviewed several people. And so I just want to tell you that's part of the investigation right now.
4 days later, how do you not know what the guy yelled? Or if he yelled anything? Dozens of witnesses were there. We've only actually heard from one eyewitness.
I was standing in the front, so as soon as he walked in, he immediately saw me and I immediately saw him. And then I look to my right and I see a bunch of students running down the stairs, running out the door, jumping on the ground, just whatever it takes to stay alive. When I saw him, I saw a gun. I genuinely thought, like, okay, this is the end of the road for me.
How soon did he start shooting after he entered the room?
He just started shooting right away. There was no hesitation.
So if the shooter came face to face with that guy, looked him dead in the eye, why didn't he shoot him? Why did he shoot somebody else? That makes me think this could have been a targeted attack on a specific individual. One of the girls who died was a prominent Republican on campus. Was she the target?
Do you have any evidence that suggests that the victim, Ella Cook, may have been targeted?
No, not at this point.
We're hearing reports she sustained multiple gunshot wounds. Dana spoke to Ella Cook's friend earlier. Watch.
I knew she was taking principles of economics, which the class is held in Barretts and Hawley, and her location hadn't moved. And we were all just hoping that that she had dropped her phone running out, and that's why we couldn't get a hold of her. Ella was the type of person that, regardless of if you've never met her before, she was just such a bright light.
Now, if the shooter was targeting a specific individual, he would have had to have intimate knowledge of the study session. This was a finals prep session on the weekend. If this guy was a traditional school shooter, whose goal it was to kill as many people as possible, why would he go in on a weekend? Why wouldn't he just spray the quad Monday at noon? Most school shooters are going for as many people as possible. They usually kill themselves or surrender. It's like he had a mission, go in and out like an assassin. And every kid has a camera on their phone. Not a single student recorded anything in that auditorium. The police don't even know who the eyewitnesses were. Brown is asking students, if you were there that night, can you call the cops? They also waited until this morning to start knocking on doors in the vicinity, asking residents if they had Ring camera footage. And how'd the guy escape on foot? He had to have gotten into a vehicle. This summer, Providence installed speed cameras all over town. They don't have any footage of a guy that matches the description driving around at 4:15 Saturday afternoon. The police chief is asking people if they own a Tesla with a camera in it that was parked in the neighborhood to please come forward. Look at the suspect here. Where's the gun? Did he ditch it? Is it on him? It's supposed to be a 9mm rifle. Now, usually a 9mm, you think of a handgun, but they say it's a long gun. We didn't see a long gun on the suspect before the shooting. In some of the images, he's rocking a satchel. I mean, that's all we know, that it was just that one weapon that was mentioned the other day. So we don't know who he is, where he is, if he's a student, if he's foreign, if he was targeting the school or an individual, how the gun got there, where it is now, what he yelled, if it was terrorism or a hit. But Mayor Smiley says, don't worry, you're safe.
And just another follow, the image today of the person of interest, they have a satchel. Is it known if there were additional weapons in there or magazines of some kind?
No, that's all we know, that it was just that one weapon that I mentioned the other day.
Do they feel safe? Well, we just asked Johnny to go find out.
We have not received, and this is now updated with another 24 hours have passed, a single credible, specific threat to the area, to the city related to this event, and as far as I know, to the state.
Our apologies again. Here is Johnny asking people at Brown and in the vicinity if they feel safe.
Do you feel safe here?
Not really. Hey, as safe as I'm gonna be, man. You know, hey, I ain't worrying about it.
Right now, no. No, the guy's still out there. Woman, guy, whatever it is. He's out there.
Well, the mayor says you can go out, you should feel perfectly fine.
Yeah, okay. That's his thought of mine.
He said, go get a pizza.
Yeah, please. Man, the mayor's tripping, man.
Yeah, I strongly disagree with that. There's still a very, very active threat going on.
Mayor, he has no clue, man. I mean, when they told him, oh, we got the guy, he went right along with it. They didn't verify it. Then the next day they said, we don't have the guy. Then they arrested another guy and he said, okay, we got the guy. Then he got to come out and say, no, we don't have the guy. So I think that, I think right now, man, our leadership is in above their head.
It's like, wow, Rhode Island was never like this.
So a deadly gunman's armed and dangerous and at large. The police have no leads, no facial recognition, no motive, no DNA, and no eyewitness to give us any clues. After the shooting, alerts went out late. Sirens didn't go off, and the gunman got away. And the university president, Christina Paxson, said the system worked.
Do you believe that Brown had the precautions and safety measures in place before the shooting that were appropriate and necessary?
I do.
Really? Brown just settled with the Trump administration over anti-Semitism and DEI. Brown's been a hotbed for pro-Palestinian activism. They admit thousands of international students. Did Brown have any intelligence warning them that this could have happened? And how didn't campus safety respond in time to apprehend the suspect? It's not a big campus. Because leadership in Providence has been so pathetic in the last few days, citizen journalists are asking questions. They've noticed Brown's web pages go down. Does the president of the university know anything about this?
Since the shooting, I believe some web pages for students or faculty have been taken down. Is that a response to any external threats to anyone in the community?
I know nothing about web pages being taken down as part of this. It's the first I've heard of it.
So after the press conference, the school admitted they were taking websites down because one of their students was getting doxxed. The Attorney General was asked about it today. Go.
If that name meant anything to this investigation, we would be out looking for that person. We would let you know we were looking for that person. You know, again, I think it's just a really dangerous road to go down. It's just a dangerous thing to do. And I would leave it to us to identify persons of interest and let us run them down.
This is an incredibly mysterious case and incredibly frustrating because of the way it's been handled. The FBI does not have jurisdiction over this case. Rhode Island is running the show. So far, they're running it poorly, and we pray that changes.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.